Inside the Circuit, the show that brings you the latest news and insights from the world of Roborace, news and tech. Welcome, my name is Rachel Stringer and I'm back in the hot seat once again this week to bring you tonight's show. I'm pretty excited as well, and as always, I want everybody at home to get involved. If you guys have any questions on anything related to Roborace, tech, or the world of autonomous driving or anything car related, then please do get in touch. You can contact me directly at Rach Stringer on Twitter or Roborace across all social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, you name it, find them, give us a message. Okay, let's get on to what Roborace is. If you guys are just tuning in for the first time, well, where do I begin? Okay, this is the world's first fully autonomous, all-electric driving series, and we're actually in the middle of what we're calling season beta, which is actually a developmental series where all the teams who are competing have a final chance to develop and kind of make the fastest racing AI they possibly can to get ready for season 1, which starts later on this year, which we're all very excited about. But mission 5 is coming your way later on in June, so that's our next event on the calendar, and it'll be coming from you guys from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway circuit in, of course, Las Vegas. So we all cannot wait for that one. So stay tuned. If you want to join in, please do come and find us on Twitch. Okay, well, let's go on to tonight's show because it's actually all about esports and sim racing, which is very exciting and which I'm actually involved heavily in. So we kind of want to pose the question of how virtual racing dreams can become racing reality and how actually being on the sim rig and the sim setup can actually better you when you go wheel to wheel in a real life vehicle. Before we get into all of that though, we want to bring you up to speed with everything that's happening in the news right now on electric racing. Okay, so you probably have heard of Extreme E. It's another all electric racing series which made its debut this year, and its second leg got underway actually last weekend in Senegal. It was the Ocean Grand Prix, but earlier on in the year there was an estimated worldwide audience of 17.8 million people, which is absolutely massive, which kind of just shows the interest, doesn't it, in the kind of all-electric racing series. But I mentioned the Ocean Grand Prix, and it was a bit of deja vu for Nico Rosberg's team. Check this out.
Absolutely brilliant performance again, pretty much faultless all weekend. And P2 in the background is going to go to Veloce Racing. Jamie Chadwick going to take a podium here on board with Christopherson.
Well, Johan Kristoffersson then and Molly Taylor, who we actually chatted to on the show a few weeks ago, racked up consecutive victories, winning the Ocean X Prix ahead of Veloce's Jamie Chadwick and Stefan Saranzin. And Rosberg Racing extend their lead at the top of the table, and they're actually joined by their team boss, former F1 champion Nico Rosberg, in their celebrations. They're actually in the sea there. That's pretty nice. We could do with that in London today. It's pretty hot here. And Rosberg actually said he is still competitive as hell, despite not even racing himself. And he then went on to add he couldn't have been happier with the result. I mean, obviously, 2 wins out of 2 now. Awesome stuff from his team. And the next round of Extreme E takes place in Greenland at the end of August, and that will be the Arctic X Prix. So I'm really excited to see how that one goes down as well. Okay, now for our next piece of news. It really seems that the whole world has gone electric. It really is the flavour of the month, isn't it? Giant Audi are entering an electric vehicle into the 2022 Dakar Rally. The all-star lineup for their entry includes the most successful Dakar champion of all time, Stefan Hansel, who has 14 titles to his name, and triple Dakar champion all-round rally legend Carlos Sainz will be joining him as well. And the car does drive on electric power, but the battery actually is recharged by the combustion engine derived from Audi's now defunct DTM program. And Petter Hansel actually said, "The future is electric. In 10 years, everyone will be driving electric cars. Okay, well, we'll hold you to that. And the Dakar Rally is an extreme test for this technology, he goes on to say. And we want to be the first team to win the Dakar Rally with an electric powertrain. And he then says, I'm looking forward to tackling this very ambitious project, with Audi. Well, I can't wait to see what happens there. And of course, the Dakar Rally in 2022 takes place in January in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, can't wait to see how Peter Hansel gets on there, and yeah, the new Audi team and their setup. Okay, well, let's move on with our show again this evening. We're looking at how virtual racing dreams can become a reality in the real world. And thanks to the ever-evolving motorsport games, and because they're coming so much more realistic, this is kind of becoming what is becoming the norm, really. And we're kind of posing the question, can sim racers make it in real life? Well, back in 2011, Juan Marden Burra, he actually became the best player in the world at the legendary Gran Turismo. I'm sure loads of you have dabbled in that at home, especially during lockdown. And he won the GT Academy competition, beating 90,000 contestants in the process, a competition which was designed, of course, by Gran Turismo themselves. And his prize, wait for this, was a seat for Nissan at the Dubai 24 Hour. And we actually delved into the archives, it was quite a few years ago now, and we found this. Check it out.
I'm living my dream. I feel very lucky and privileged to be able to do what I'm doing at the moment. I'm Jan Mardenborough and I'm the 2011 Nissan GT Academy winner. I've been racing with Nissan for just over 3 years now, racing in GT cars, Le Mans prototypes, now in single-seaters in GP3. To qualify for GT Academy, it's a very long process. For me, when I did it, it was for 6 weeks. I was on there at least 5 to 6 hours a day. Everybody's participating because everybody knows what the prize is. The prize is to have a funded year with Nissan, providing you're racing. For me, that was an opportunity that I couldn't miss. During the qualifying stages of GT Academy, there wasn't a moment in there where I thought I could win at all. It was more of how far can I go with this? How far can we go? So you get to the national finals and then you win the national finals and you go on to the international event with 11 other contestants from across Europe. That gave me a lot of inspiration going then to Silverstone to do the international race camp. I just gave everything. I just gave 100% all the time. It's a brutal competition. It really is a brutal competition, but when the winner gets put through the paces a huge amount, because when you win the academy program, the hard work starts after that, because you live here at Silverstone. You train in lots of different racing cars, getting your license, just improving as a driver. I feel very fulfilled and satisfied to know that I'm a professional at something. That's just something actually as a teenager which I wanted to do. I wanted to be a pro at something. And my dad was pro in football, and my dad definitely taught me to do something which I love to do, and he inspired me to do something which you love to do, which is your passion, and feel very fortunate to be able to do that and to be in that position, and hopefully for many years to come. I don't want my professional life and my private life to be mixed. I think that's very important, and on terms of being just real and just me, I want to show people that you don't have to have lots of money stashed away with rich parents or know somebody in the sport to fund your karting career or fund your junior single-seater career. You can be a normal person who just loves racing games, loves car games, loves motorsport, is a petrol head. And there is a route for you that you can take if you're successful at it, or if you're good at it, you can achieve great things. When you look back to the first time, I can remember the first time I played Gran Turismo 1 on a standard definition 30-inch TV screen, which had the worst pixel count that you could imagine, and just having so much fun doing that. And then fast forward, I don't know, 15 years, and you're doing it for real. It's weird. I think it's weird, but it's a really cool thing to have done.
Well, I'm so glad we did delve into those archives and find that little story there from Jean, because I thought that was amazing to see how kind of a hobby has transformed into a career for him. And Gran Turismo was really at the forefront, wasn't it, of sim racing, and they paved the way for other racing games to generate similar concepts, because in 2018, the pinnacle of motorsport, Formula One, they decided to get in on the action as well, and they developed their own esports series, F1 Esports, which is still running today, of course. And actually 9 out of the 10 championship teams, they actually signed up to create their own esports division, which is absolutely huge. And that would see 40 of the world's best sim drivers go through various challenges, like we just saw there in that GT Academy, to compete for a seat on a Formula One roster. And 18 gamers made the initial cut. And to tell us a little bit more about the process and exactly what was involved, I'm very pleased to say we are now joined by Red Bull Racing Esports driver Graham Carroll. Graham, welcome. Thanks for joining us on today's show. I've actually recently seen you on another esports series, V10 R League, which just finished its 2nd season. So it's lovely to see you back in front of us, in front of the screens here. We kind of just saw Jan's journey there, but people who don't know much about your journey, you've kind of gone full circle, but I'll let you explain it all to us.
Hey Rachel, hey. Yeah, so it's I started off in go-karts when I was younger, moved up the ranks slowly but surely on a very tight budget kind of thing, and got into sort of single-seater Formula Ford cars, won the Scottish, won the British championships, and after that I just sort of hit a brick wall, you know. Looked for sponsorship. It was in the middle of the credit crunch, and the next best thing was sort of sim racing, so we took it up, we got a proper setup, we got sort of more involved. And like what you said, we qualified for F1 Esports, and we got involved in all these top esports competition, and yeah, I've never really looked back from there, you know.
Yeah, tell us then about, obviously we mentioned it was 2018 when Formula One got in on the action. You were a part of that initial kind of involvement, weren't you? What was that process like? What exactly did you have to go through?
Well, at the time we were doing other competitions, Formula E, iRacing, Assetto Corsa, all these different games, and then out of the blue, F1 sort of done their own sort of competition, and F1's the pinnacle, and to be honest, it still is even in sim racing, you know. So when F1 do a competition, you need to do whatever challenges, do whatever qualification series it takes just to really get in and secure yourself into the pro draft that puts you in front of all the teams. Then you need to really impress to get a seat in one of these teams, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And was it kind of all about kind of the sim aspect and the driving skills, or was there some kind of physicality, mental side? Because obviously we know that's kind of what racing involves. But yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a bit of everything. I think it's not all about just the sim driving these days. It's about your sort of social media, your fitness, and it's honestly just like the real thing. It's all about you as a whole kind of thing, and what the sort of team can get out of you, and that's not just results on the track. So yeah, a top sim racer these days has to be an all-rounder, to be up there these days anyway, for sure.
And I know that actually, because when I was working with you on the V10 R League, after like every round, you guys like, oh my goodness, my hands are really hurting. Like the tension, you can see it on your guys' faces. But let's move on then to when actually we just kind of spoke about the first ever F1 Esports, and you obviously got picked for Red Bull's division, and a certain pretty famous racing driver, didn't he kind of hand you your team jersey? Max Verstappen, I believe it was. I think we can see it on screen now, actually, Graham.
it's pretty insane, you know, when you're gaming away and you're doing this just for a bit of fun back in the day. Yeah, it's honestly watching it there. It's just a great moment. One of the best of my sim racing career, to be honest. To be on that stage, to be there with Max, and to be get picked for the team that you were hoping for is just like a dream come true. But a lot of virtual laps went into to get to me to this point. Sorry. So no, it's been awesome, and sim racing is just growing and growing and growing. You know, so it's a never-ending esport that's just going to get bigger. So it's great to see.
I know there's so many competitions, aren't there? But what in particular have you learned from being part of the Red Bull setup? Like, do you get to speak to some of their drivers? Obviously, we saw Max on the screen there, kind of part of that first series that you were involved with.
That for sure. Like before the Red Bull, it was just you're driving for a bit of fun, to win some money kind of thing. But now you're part of a proper sort of F1 team, and they just teach you to be so much more professional in every area: driving, social media, just presenting yourself out in public kind of thing. So yeah, as a helping kind of thing, Red Bull have been a massive part of that in my career. So yeah, I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we mentioned again 2018 when Formula One got involved. Do you think their involvement squashed the stigma of gamers sit around all day, in the dark, late at night playing video games? Do you think that's really helped to progress? They're still out there, Graham. We all know that.
Yeah.
I think it's really helped to put it at the forefront of people's minds, and for people to take this career, which is now your career, seriously.
Yeah, I think so, to be honest, because Formula One, it is a bit above every other sort of racing. Like I say, it was the pinnacle. So F1 got involved with the big teams, and if you can get yourself onto like an F1 team roster kind of thing to do F1, iRacing, V10R, it's pretty cool, and I think most people in sim racing are trying to work towards to be in that kind of spot. So yeah, no, it's for sure the F1 teams changed the game, and it's just good to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a go, actually, Graham, sitting on one of the rigs and the setup, and been trying to have a go. I'm not that good. So what advice would you give to... at least I try, right? What advice would you give to those guys who do, grind out different games, whatever game they like to play on, and want to make it to where you are? What would they need to do?
Just hours and hours and hours, and I say hours like I mean days and days and days, and just practice and just going out there and trying to match the lap times of the top guys in F1 Esports or V10R or PESC. Everyone can get all this equipment, the wheel pedals and stuff, then get into the games, and they'll find our lap times, they'll find all the top guys' lap times, and you've honestly just got to sit and just practice away, and just make yourself comfortable with the sim. And like I say, it's to get myself on that stage with Max, to be picked, I've been doing this every day for 5 or 6 years, 6 hours a day kind of thing. So it paid off in the end, but yeah, it's just a lot of hard working. Yeah, and if it's something you really, really want to do, these 6 hours a day come quite easy, So it's yeah, but a lot of hard work anyway. That's the main thing.
Well, it's a full-time job, isn't it? If you're working in any regular job, it would be kind of 8+ hours a day. So 6 hours actually isn't too bad. Graham, tell us as well about how, or if it does, sim racing helps in real racing. Because I know you're part of the Ford setup as well. Do you think that helps, or what is the skill kind of, transfer like?
I honestly think it's really good. Like for instance, I'm away to drive Formula Ford at Knockhill this weekend for the British Championship, so I'm getting a bit of real life driving alongside my sim driving. But I always use an exploration of there's a guy that I used to be teammates with in Redline, a guy Enzo Benito. He went across to Race of Champions. He got in a car against Lucas Di Grassi head to head. We only got one shot of it, and the sim racer won. Lucas Di Grassi is a Formula E world champion, won numerous races around the world, been in F1, and Enzo jumps in, and he's probably first or second time round this little figure of 8, and he came out on top, So honestly, the sim racers' levels these days, the guys at the top, you put them in a racing car, and once they get the fear factor out of the way, they're just as quick as any of these real life guys these days. They put so much time into it. It's pretty crazy, to be honest. You'd never believe it, but that's the kind of level we're at these days. There's just so many people trying to get there, A
lot of the drivers actually, don't they? They're kind of Formula One drivers as well. They use sim racing in a bit of their training. And you mentioned Lucas Di Grassi though. He used to be CEO of Roborace, so we know him very well on this show. So I love that you just mentioned his name there, Graham. Let's look backwards a little bit to 2020. Obviously, we're still in the midst of a pandemic, and a lot of the kind of Formula One drivers, they went to the virtual setup, didn't they? There was a lot of shows being broadcast around the world. Did you get involved in any of those? And have you ever yourself gone wheel to wheel on the virtual stage against a professional driver?
Yeah, no, like over the last sort of year and a bit, I honestly think the whole pandemic thing has in a way helped sim racing. Everyone's been at home, they can't go away racing in real life, so all the real life drivers came on and gave us sim racers a bit of a run for their money, and they had their own races they were doing that a lot of us sim racers helped them do. And it was great because the eyes were on sim racing, not on F1, not on the GT races in real life, it was all on sim racing. So we had a lot of races. I done a race at Daytona with Max Verstappen, and he beat me by 0.001 of a second, you know, so it was an awesome race. I've done a bit with sort of your Lando as well, racing in ovals, but it's more compared to B10, F1, Pesk and stuff. When we race these guys, it's 95% fun, you know, for us anyway. We're going there and having a bit of banter, and it's really good fun. The real racing driver wants to beat us 100%, obviously, but it's good to have them on the circuit, and we're normally just racing against people you don't know online in online servers and stuff. So it's pretty cool to have these F1 guys and top GT guys from all over the world online racing against you. You're learning a lot from them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Lando Norris there, didn't you? No wonder he's doing well. Obviously, he plays kind of on the sim setup a lot, doesn't he? And he kind of is transitioning really well into the real driving too. But let's move on. Let's talk about Roborace. I'm not sure, Graham, how much you know about it, but it's obviously fully autonomous, all-electric racing series. Have you ever been in an electric car? That's my question for you next.
I won a competition to go to Vegas 5 years ago, say, for Formula E. And when I won the first round of the qualifier, they flew me to Marrakesh, and I got to drive a Formula E car. So I got a few laps around Marrakesh, and it was the first ever time I'd driven an electric car. And yeah, it was pretty unique. It was very different, but very cool in its own way. And yeah, and they had the Roborace car there that weekend going around the circuit as well. So I have seen it in person, and yeah, quite a fan of it. Pretty cool stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, Vegas is like the original home of Roborace, which is cool. So actually, I haven't even seen the dev bot yet. So you're actually one step ahead of me. We've been kind of broadcasting virtually for all of season beta. So I'm a bit jealous of you there. And was there some prize money as well to be won in the competition that you were just chatting about?
Yeah, there was $1 million in Vegas. That was a few years ago, I think. But yeah, $1 million. We all went out to Vegas. Sort of 10 guys qualified for it. We all sort of partnered up with I was part of Virgin Racing. And yeah, again, I'm driving an electric car, the Formula E car in Marrakesh, and I'm sitting about to pull out, and it's just going through my head that I've got here through gaming. You know, and it's really crazy to think that I've been flown all the way halfway across the world, put in this car, all because I just won a race and a game, and that was the crazy part for me. But to get a shot of it and to see the Roborace and to experience the Formula E weekend from gaming, yeah, it was insane, it really was.
It's big business, this esports lark. Everyone needs to take us more seriously, don't they? But let's talk a bit more about the dev bot. Obviously, fully autonomous as well. How would you feel lining up against an all-electric, fully autonomous racing vehicle like our dev bot? Would you feel like you could beat them? Like, how would you feel in that instance?
It'd be a very different feeling, because it could be programmed to do the ultimate lap records every single time it heads around the track, you know, so you never know what you're going up against. But it'd be very fun, it'd be something a bit different, and like all the things with sim racing at the minute, all these different racing we're doing, different's good. So yeah, no, it's I'd really like it, to be honest.
Well, that's the aim for our teams. They're trying to make obviously the fastest AI, but would you trust a fully autonomous vehicle? Would you get in one and let it drive you around?
I think so these days. I think so. You see a lot of them on the road and stuff these days. So yeah, but I'd put some trust in it. Yeah.
Good. Well, if you do, then I think everyone else should. Graham, finally, what's next for you? What's on the agenda? What's your calendar looking like?
I'm currently moving apartments at the minute, getting out of my parents' house. But on the sim racing side of it, nothing massive at the minute. Everything got pushed into the first 3 or 4 months of the year, so most championships are done and finished. There's probably going to be a couple later on the year, sort of starting up, but nothing confirmed. But yeah, once I get into my new place, I'm just going to get everything set up and just all the competitions that are starting at the start of next year, just get everything prepared, over-prepared. So there's nothing we miss going into next season. So yeah, that's about it really, to be honest, for me.
Love that. Well, yeah, maybe you can be champions of Beat Our League Season 3, which is coming your way, hopefully in autumn time. Fingers crossed.
That's it.
Good luck with the house move. Good luck with all the practicing. And yeah, we hope to be chatting to you again very soon. And Graham, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been great fun to talk to you.
No, thank you very much for having me on, and it's been awesome. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Graham.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Oh, it was great to hear there from Graham Carroll. Obviously, he's driver for Roborace Esports. But back to Roborace now. And as mentioned, Roborace will be back on your screens late June, coming from Las Vegas Motor Speedway circuit. And you can catch all the action on June the 25th and 26th. And we're back for another episode of Inside the Circuit next Thursday, June the 10th at 6 p.m. British Summer Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Time. So make sure you come back and join us for another show then. But that is it for this evening's show. We really hope you enjoyed it and the insight from the world of sim racing and esports. Big business, guys, get involved. Go and find your controller now and jump into whatever game you have at home. If you have any questions though, as always, please find us on all the social media channels. We're Roborace on Twitch, Instagram, and of course Twitter as well. If you have any questions for me, get involved or try and answer as many as possible as Rach Stringer on Twitter. Guys, I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We'll be back, as I mentioned, next Thursday, same time, possibly a different place. For now, we'll see you then. Goodbye.